The AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D is finally here, and let me tell you, it's a beast. No, it's not this kind of a beast, it's this kind of a beast. AMD has introduced their next-gen 3D V-cache technology, and this processor just crushes it in gaming. But don't get too comfy, because Intel is not backing down. With their Core Ultra 9 285K, Intel's still giving AMD a solid run for their money. So let's dive into this face-off and see which one's really the best choice. Let's talk money first. AMD's Ryzen 7 9800X3D got a price bump, so it's now up to $479. Meanwhile, Intel's Core Ultra 9 285K is going for $629. Intel's got some extra cores and performance perks, but that price gap is closing. And sure, the Core Ultra 9 285K is a flagship CPU with all the bells and whistles. It's a 24-core chip, which is insane, but there's a twist. It doesn't even use hyperthreading. Instead, Intel focused on single-core power, making it closer to a real 24-core processor. Now, AMD's Ryzen 7 9800X3D is a whole different category. It's only got 8 cores, but uses simultaneous multi-threading, giving it 16 threads. But the real magic is, this is AMD's latest 3D V-cache tech, and they've managed to pack a whopping 104 megabytes of cache in there, which outshines Intel's 60 megabytes on the Core Ultra 9. In previous models like the Ryzen 7 7800X3D, AMD stacked extra cache on top of the CPU, but now they've put it under the chip. Why? This gives the cores better access to cooling, meaning AMD can push clock speeds even higher, and that opens up serious potential for overclocking. Now, let's talk power efficiency. Intel's Core Ultra 9 can pull up to 250 watts, while AMD's Ryzen 7 9800X3D tops out at just 120 watts, and it rarely even reaches that. But despite the power differences, both chips are super efficient, so don't let those numbers fool you. Just looking at the specs, you'd expect Intel's Core Ultra 9 to completely wipe the floor, and to some extent, it does. Intel's CPU shines in rendering software like Cinebench, where it's crowned the king. With more cores and clock speed, Intel comes out ahead in single-core and multi-core performance. Even in Blender, another rendering tool, Intel holds a clear lead. But surprisingly, it's not double the performance. When we get into more real-world stuff, Intel's dominance takes a hit. Take video encoding and Handbrake, for instance. Sure, the Core Ultra 9 is about 26% faster in transcodes, but for a CPU with that many cores, the difference really isn't as big as you'd expect. And here's the kicker. In Premiere Pro, a program that scales with more than 8 cores, AMD's Ryzen 7 and Intel's Core Ultra 9 perform almost identically. For Intel, that's a little embarrassing, considering the extra cores. Even worse, in Photoshop, AMD's Ryzen 7 was actually faster, which shows that Intel's extra cores don't always mean extra speed. Now, where AMD's Ryzen 7 9800X3D truly shines is in gaming. This chip is just built for it. In 10 different games, AMD's Ryzen 7 came out on top across the board. Even in graphics-heavy games where the processor isn't as crucial, like Assassin's Creed Mirage, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Returnal, AMD's chip is still faster.